For the past few years, I've been working with families with autistic kiddos. Clients are coming to me because they've tried so many other things for their kiddos. That's powerful, to hear that someone with the same challenges that their kids have has dedicated themselves to working with this medicine because it helped so much in
Mhm.
my case. The clinical research shows that people of all ages can benefit from medicinal cannabis. The whole family was just like, yes,
Mhm.
finally something is just helping. And
Yeah.
it's such a relief for them after years and years. And makes me so grateful to be doing this work, honestly.
Welcome back to the channel. My name is Andrea Meharg. I've been teaching doctors and healthcare practitioners and the general public about the health benefits of medicinal cannabis for 8 years now. And I also teach at the Cannabis Institute. And today I'm here with one of our favorite graduates ever, PJ. And he came on a journey with me from my cannabis coaching beginnings. You were one of my cannabis clients. And when we were going through our initial phone call, he shared with me that he had just had an adult diagnosis of autism and he was wondering about using cannabis to navigate through that journey. And by the end of our time together, he had started to realize what a difference cannabis was making in his own life. And he was wondering, like, what would that be like if I had have known about this earlier? And so he decided to become a cannabis coach and educator as well. PJ graduated way back in 2023 and has been doing some amazing stuff first. So, welcome. I'm so happy to see you and
Hey,
spend some time with you.
so nice to
And
be here with you.
yeah, what have you been doing? Well, I know
Mm.
what you've been doing, but tell everybody else.
Working with you really did kick off an amazing chain of events for me because after getting my autism diagnosis, you and I were talking about what comes next for me. And like you had at that time said, look, you might as well help people with what you've learned about yourself. And that landed so hard for me. And I was like, yeah, absolutely. I can potentially provide some benefit to people in the autism community as well. After I graduated from the CCI program, I started putting myself out there in webinars. I started working with a nonprofit in the US called PDA North America, which is a sub community for the autism community. The people I was meeting, through that program were expressing very similar experiences to mine, things that felt so, so familiar. As I did webinars for them and unpacked my own experience growing up autistic, but not knowing it, and getting such a resonance from that community, I decided to put myself out there as a cannabis coach for that community. So for the past few years, I've been working with families with autistic kiddos. It's been incredible. The changes, the love that really starts to flow within the family systems when there's medicine that really helps them.
Can you talk more about that? Like, how does your typical client kind of come to you or find out about you? Is there hesitance there?
In a lot of cases, clients are coming to me because they've tried so many other things for their family and their kiddos. And maybe they have seen me in a webinar or speaking with a parent group that they're a part of and sharing my personal
Mhm.
experience. That's powerful, to hear that someone with the same challenges that their kids have has dedicated themselves to, working with this medicine because it helped so much in
Mhm.
my case. And there is a lot of stigma that they're facing, both from the community point of view, but also like from their own belief systems that they've never thought of it as medicine, right? They've never
Mhm.
thought of cannabis as medicine at all. So that's a big reframe for people. And also that the clinical research shows that people of all ages can benefit from medicinal cannabis. And there's so many forms of it. And it's one size fits all at all. It's very much something that you customize for each person and it's safe. It's so safe and it can be so, so helpful.
And can you tell us, like, about a success story or, like, is there
Hmm.
some yeah, okay, cool, go.
Hmm. There's a bunch of them now because I've been working with families for a few years. I'm working with a family right now with an 18-year-old who's been very difficult burnout for several years. And in the course of the past 6 months or so, we have gone from deep burnout to starting to access life again. And it actually started shifting for them pretty quickly after starting with the medicine. So we took our time dialing up the dose and finding the right cannabinoids for them. And once we hit that right dose and that right combination for them, things just started shifting for them. They started introducing me to other parents that they know and wanted me
Mhm.
to speak at their parent group because it's made such a difference. And just in the past couple weeks, like the whole family was just like, yes,
Mhm.
finally something is just helping. And
Yeah.
it's such a relief for them after years and years. And makes me so grateful to be doing this work, honestly, to have those moments with them. Oh my God, so powerful.
It's the most rewarding work that there is, just
Yeah.
helping somebody change their mind about this plant that they've heard all these awful things about, framing as a medicine and letting them safe it is, and then they try it and they're like, "Oh." And especially with what we know now about how cannabis balances our endocannabinoid system to keep us in a good state of homeostasis, and we have seen in the literature with kids with cannabis doctors who are giving their patients CBD and CBG, et cetera, they're coming back into quote unquote normal range
Mhm.
because we're supplementing this endocannabinoid system that is so deeply interwoven into what's happening in autism. And for parents to get that kind of information, just a little bit about how this is working and how safe it is, et cetera.
It's a godsend for so many people who
Mhm.
come to it after trying so many things. And that underlying feeling of dysregulation
Right.
is so exhausting, when it's just always there.
Mhm.
Um, and having even a moment of relief from that just shows you it's like it's possible. It's possible for my body to feel at ease
Mm,
and for me to feel at home in my body,
mm.
you
Yeah.
know? Um, and can you imagine the discomfort of never feeling at home, in your body? That's how a lot of kids especially are coming to my practice and coming to people like Bonnie Goldstein, who you've
Mhm.
interviewed, the deep like distress that is there. And then to have a medicine that brings the awareness back into the body, grounds back into the body. It can be a lot to feel all those sensations again, right? That's why you need a facilitator. That's why I was working with you. That's why
Mhm.
we need a guide to help us with the medicine because it's so meaningful and also can be an adjustment to navigate, right?
Yeah.
Um, so I do that with the families as a whole, really. We navigate it all together because they're all collectively experiencing what their kiddo is experiencing. And also it's very connected to their own nervous systems. And everyone heals together is been my experience with my practice.
What's what I was wondering is that these families are coming to you for help for cannabis for their children. Have any family members also adopted, like, taking CBD or yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
it's
Hmm.
in fact, in almost all cases,
Oh,
it's the
wow.
case that once they see that it's working, wonders for their kiddo, they wonder for themselves, like, gosh, this kind of rhymes with my experience in life too. And it's so common that like an autism diagnosis or an ADHD diagnosis, once that is recognized in the child, then the parents themselves start recognizing a version of that in their own self. And that then makes them inquire, like, how do I best support myself?
Mhm.
Sometimes parents have been in survival mode,
Yeah.
100% of the time, and they haven't even realized that, they themselves have become quite disconnected from their own internal experience because it's been so difficult.
Mhm.
And then to have a medicine that actually resources you for experiencing yourself again, full and complete, that's a powerful influence that goes through the whole family system.
I love how you talk about it bringing people back into themselves and feeling like their whole self and whole and complete. I haven't heard somebody talk about cannabis making them feel that way before.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, it's very nuanced because it's not like because I have autism, I'm not whole and complete. It's also that I want to feel at ease and at peace within my body as the wonderful human that I am, full package that I
Hmm.
am. Comes with this sensitivity that I have, also comes this almost like a vulnerability to the way the world is. And if I can get assistance, being, additionally resourced
Yeah.
for managing all of these, sensations, all these things I'm absorbing from the world, then I have a better chance of being able to integrate all that and be part of, the communities that I want to be part of and do the things I want to do.
Such a powerful message for us to hear, for kids to hear, for families to hear. I'm so grateful that you're out there doing this work.
Mm.
If you're watching this and you're like, I need to work with PJ immediately, we'll put links to all of his stuff down below. So definitely go check that out. Our program at the Cannabis Institute doesn't teach you to work with children. In fact, we say like that's kind of out of our scope of practice. And you and I
Mhm.
had many discussions, and you also work with healthcare practitioners, and you stay in your lane and you have disclaimers, and the parents know you're not a healthcare practitioner. I'm wondering about like how you took this program that we offer and turned it into this beautiful practice. Like
Mm.
what worked in the program so much for you that you were able to do that?
I mean, part of it is seeing the huge variety of people in the program and what their specializations were,
Mhm.
and seeing that this is such a bespoke medicine, right? That like you can customize it for pain management or like neuropathic pain, but there's other customizations that you can do that are more targeted to sleep. And so why wouldn't there be one of those
Mhm.
combinations that could be effective for dysregulation and just generally being dysregulated? And there's clinical research that's saying there's potentially something going on in the body, with the endocannabinoid system where we need the additional cannabinoids to feel fully capable of everything that we want to do. So the program showed me that you could specialize and that the medicine could support that. Families have a good intuition for what is helpful for their kids. And in a lot of cases, they've tried so many things that have not been very successful for them. And so while considering like medicinal cannabis, like that's a departure for sure from like the
Mhm.
traditional medical model. It's almost a complementary one in the sense that it can support whatever they're attempting to do with other therapies as well, right? Like the more regulated you are, the better chance you're going to have of other therapies working well for you too. So
For sure.
they work well together.
You were talking about the clinical research earlier. Can you dive more into what that is saying and why cannabis might be beneficial?
Yeah, this is so important because it draws a clear line between traits of autism and the felt experience of autism and what is found in the clinical trials. So Dr. Bunny Goldstein has done extensive work with families on the spectrum, and also with epilepsy.
Mm.
And her clinical research has found that there is an endocannabinoid, a naturally endogenously produced cannabinoid called anandamide that is generally deficient in people who experience the traits of autism. And we also know that THC is the homologue of anandamide in the body. So it makes sense that if this is the system that regulates us and we're adding more power to that system by nourishing it with this cannabinoid replacement, that dysregulation would go down,
Mhm.
regulation would go up. And that's what they see. And they even see that in the biomarkers that they measure. This is kind of an amazing thing that like they see a before and after picture. They see that the biomarkers that they measure go back into normal ranges about 90 minutes after they take the cannabis. So there's like a pretty much immediate effect there that's incredibly useful to know that this is possible because dysregulation in general just shows up in so many, but that there's one medicine that brings everything back into balance in that way is truly remarkable and is very unique.
Is it the case then that children who are taking THC supplementation because their natural anandamide levels are so low, kids aren't getting levels of THC that are making them high. It is
No,
literally bringing them
never.
back to normal. And
Yeah,
like for people who are watching, we're not trying to get kids intoxicated. We're
never.
trying to bring them to the state of balance again.
Exactly. And because everybody's endocannabinoid system is different, the amount of THC or other cannabinoids that are helpful for that person is going to vary quite a bit. So we always start with a very, very small amount and we gradually ramp it up. My program lasts at least 12 weeks
Mhm.
to give us time to gradually ramp it up. Sometimes a very, very trace amount of THC is all that's required with other cannabinoids in the mix for it to be very, very helpful. And in other cases, kids can take tens or hundreds of milligrams of it just because that's the amount that their endocannabinoid system needs in order to just go back to equilibrium again. And they're never intoxicated. None of the people that ever go through my program are ever intoxicated because we start so low and we go so slowly and we use a balance of cannabinoids and we make sure that we're always in this, you know, fully healthy range for them at all times, which is so vital, especially working with families.
And this is why you work with a cannabis coach
Yeah.
or a cannabis informed doctor or nurse practitioner, that you have someone to guide you along the way. It's so important to have a hand to hold during that process, especially like you said, with parents who have tried so many things. And this is maybe the scariest effort that they've tried. To have the support of somebody like you is, they're so lucky.
And it's so worth trying because other medications are more locked in terms of like once you start, it's hard to
Mhm.
stop it. And with cannabis, there's so much more freedom and control that way. Um, and it can be a real game changer. So it's worth a try.
So grateful that you're out there doing this work in the world, and that you took the program and that you did all the things and, showed up and
I'm so
you
grateful for the program and
oh,
for you.
yeah. Thank you. Yeah. We're on a grateful train here. Thank you so much for talking to us about it. If you are also thinking about the population that you need to serve or the problem that you need to solve, we have a free class from the Cannabis Institute. It gives you the 3 steps that you need to start your own cannabis coaching or education business. Thousands and thousands of people have taken this class and have gone on to create businesses or to help people with this plant. The links are down below. Take the class. Then you can come hang out with PJ and I on grad calls, and we can talk about how we're doing this beautiful work out in the world. Thanks for being here, PJ.
So good to see you, Andrea. Thanks for
So
having
good.
me.
So good to see you too. All right. Bye.